Hey, what's happening? How's it going? How's everyone doing? Part of my presence YouTube channel. I want to do this short video in regards to one of the police officers that were arrested for the murder of George Floyd. This particular officer's name is Thomas Lane. Now, this is a story because Thomas Lane is under police custody, and his bail was set to, I believe, around either between $750,000 to $1 million. That was the amount that he needed for bail. And apparently what has happened is that his family created a website where they are soliciting for donations to help him get out or to help with his legal case. Okay, now just to give you some background information, when it comes to crowdfunding, sites like GoFundMe, sites like Kickstarter and those type of organizations, they don't allow you to raise funding or do crowdfunding for anything regarding legal cases or to cover legal expenses or to arrange a type of defense for a legal matter. They also don't deal with anything political as well too. Okay, so it's clear that the family couldn't have gone that route. Unlike with George Floyd's family, they were able to create a GoFundMe account to allow the public to donate money so that they could cover the expenses for them going back and forth to the courthouse for the impending trial, also to cover any costs for George Floyd's children for the educational fund or what have you. Okay, so that's the difference between the two types of ways to fund. Now, what's interesting about this is that Thomas Lane's family pretty much puts in a plea as to why people should donate to him. According to the website, Thomas Lane was only on the job for 4 days when this incident occurred. Now, that's a little bit misleading because he joined the force, the MPD, in 2019, February. But he was on some type of probation or I guess a type of buddy system where he wasn't able to be a full-fledged cop until sometime in 2020. And at that point, 4 days out of him becoming a full-fledged cop without any restrictions, this incident occurred. So they're trying to appeal to the fact that he was just following orders from his other superior officers, namely Derek Chauvin. Now, while that may be true, Thomas Lane is 37 years old. So in other words, he's a grown-ass man. So he's old enough to know right from wrong. Now let's put it in another context. Have you seen the movie Training Day? Ethan Hawke's character decides to join a new task force. So he's treated as the novice cop. He's treated as the cop who, was green, wet behind the ears. And Denzel Washington and the rest of the cops decide to set him up, but take the fall. And Ethan Hawke, in all his morality, fights against it and stands up for what he believes is right. All in 1 or 2 days this occurs. Now, I bring this up because regardless of your standing at your job, regardless of the chain of command, what's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. It doesn't matter who is above you. If you find that your boss is doing something wrong and you are a police officer who's taken an oath, okay, now this is an oath that I didn't realize was part of the job, but there's an oath in regards to defending people or intervening with other police officers when it is required. That is a requirement of a police officer, to intervene with other police officers when the situation arises. So in other words, he was told that he has an obligation to intervene, yet he did not. Now, the website is saying that he did speak up and asked if they should turn George Floyd over on his side so that he could breathe. They're also saying that Thomas Lane was also the officer who called 911, sorry, not 911, but called the ambulance for assistance because he recognized that George Floyd was in distress. But ultimately, Derek Chauvin decided that he didn't need any further assistance. He didn't need to be rolled over on his side, which led to George Floyd's murder. Now, yes, that may be true, but as we see in other footage where a police officer during the George Floyd protests, a police officer had his neck or had his knee in someone's neck, and the crowd was yelling, "He has his knee in his neck, he has his knee in his neck." And the other officer, being very mindful of the situation and the climate that he was in, heard people's pleas, and you actually see it. He grabs the officer's knee from his pants. He grabs the officer from his pants and lifts the officer's knee from the man's neck and puts the officer's knee lower down on the man's back. Now, I don't know if that officer is the other guy's superior. I don't know. I don't know what the chain of command was in that situation, but the man had enough sense to say, hey, the situation's under control. The suspect is no longer a threat. He's not moving. We don't need to have a same situation where another man dies over foolishness. So if that cop understood, Thomas Lane, even though he might be a quote-unquote rookie cop, he's not a rookie in life. He should have known as well too. To be fair, the family did say that after the ambulance came to attend to George Floyd, that Thomas Lane was the only officer to go into the ambulance and to continue to perform CPR on George Floyd to try to save his life. So you can see they're trying to separate accountability, or to separate the complicit act as far as murder, and they're trying to separate themselves from the other officers as far as what he did. All right, that wasn't depraved indifference. He felt the need to act and to save a man's life. Therefore, he's not negligent. That's what they're trying to show here. Okay, and while that all may be true, there are some there are some other facts in regards to this particular person, Thomas Lane. After all, he is 37 years old, so he does have a history. Okay, now it was noted, and this is all public record, that Thomas Lane has a dozen of criminal charges along with traffic citations, and was convicted of 7 charges in the past. This is before he became a police officer. So in other words, he has a criminal record. Okay, apparently 4 of the charges were from traffic violations. 2 of them were parking meter violations. Then also in 2001, there was a charge for 2 counts of obstructing legal process, damaging property, unlawful assembly, and disorderly conduct. Okay, and apparently he was convicted of 1 of the counts of obstructing the legal process and 1 charge for damaging property. So in other words, he has a criminal record. Then they also, this is the article I'm reading, okay, they also mentioned that in 2007, Lane faced misdemeanor charges for hosting a noisy party or a gathering and disorderly conduct, and was found guilty of noise gathering charge. Okay, and apparently they're saying that none of this information was on Lane's job application, to become a police officer, and that information was redacted. Okay, of course, this is not on the website where they're pleading for donations. Okay, on the website, they speak more to his sensibility as far as all of the charitable work he's done, as far as volunteering his time to help at-risk youth, to help kids in, I believe it's the Somali community, and to those types of actions is what they try to highlight. Okay, so this is what the website decides to highlight instead. Okay, now of course the reason why they do this is because they're trying to appeal to people to donate money. Now, here's an interesting thing about this. As of today's date, which is June 10th, 2020, Thomas Lane is no longer in police custody. In other words, he has posted bail. On top of that, the website, which was tomlane.org, is no longer in operation. It has been shut down. Probably because they already reached their goal and they're able to bail him out with the money. So whoever it was that donated, they raised enough to get him out of jail. And this goes to my point. It's America, right? Land of the free, home of the brave. It's a capitalist society. They have that freedom, they have that right. People can donate to Thomas Lane's fund or Thomas Lane's well-being if they so please. And at the same time, this is why it's, crowdfunding is important. Group economics is important as well too. This is why it's important that people on the other side also make sure that they donate and they financially back their causes. Okay, because this is all important, because George Floyd has children, he has a family, he is the victim of this crime, this circumstance, so he should also have a GoFundMe, and he does. And according to what I've seen so far, this is the official fundraising on GoFundMe.com. The official George Floyd Memorial Fund, they've raised $14 million. $14 million. That's a lot of money for a good cause. And the family gets to use that money to their benefit. $14 million was raised so far as of today's date, June 10th, 2020. So we have to be fair here, okay? The people who are involved on George Floyd's side, they're going to get their money, as they should, as they have a right to. And on the other side, Thomas Lane, people are going to donate to him too, because we all know how America works. And that's all fine. And this is where my point lies. You have to support your own. Don't ever wait for someone else to do something. Don't ever wait till 10, 20, 30, 40 people get on board, then you jump on board. No, be the first. Because I'll tell you this right now, in America, if I'm not mistaken, there's about 40 million black people, or people who identify as black. 40,000, I believe it's 40 million. I believe it's even more. I believe it's around 42 million if you include everybody else that is black, like black immigrants, so on and so forth. Okay, they make up around between 12 and 14% of America's population. Okay, now let's just do the math on this. Let's say out of those 42 million people, let's say half of them were children, dependents, meaning that they don't work, they depend on an adult to cover their expenses and to feed them and to cover their lodging and everything else. So now we're down to 21 million. people who are adults, who may or may not be gainfully employed, but are in some ways having some income coming in. If all of those 21 million people donated $1, again, $1, people have already spent that much. Before I even finished this video, they spent more than $1 on something else, some frivolous shit. But imagine all of those 21 quote-unquote adults, because again, I'm using that number, half of the 42 million. If they all decided, I'm going to donate $1, that is $21 million given to the George Floyd Memorial Fund for that family and George Floyd's offspring to use to cover them for expenses for college, university, legal issues, so on and so forth. I think that's a worthy cause. And I think that would send a message to everyone else that Black people, if not anything else, they will support their own. Because I'll tell you this right now, out of that 14 million that's been raised, I can't say that all of it is all from Black people. There's white people who donated as well too. And there's also people who've donated more than $1. It could be $5, it could be $20, it could be $50. So the point I'm making is that who cares what Thomas Lane received from his family asking for donations? They should ask for donations. Good luck to them. But we could take advantage of these things too. If we look at each other as individuals, we're a small group. If we pool our resources together, we're large like a motherfucker. On top of that, these GoFundMe pages, it's not just local, it's not regional, it's not just country, it's worldwide. So you could have someone from England donating. You could have someone from Brazil donating. You could have someone from Nigeria donating. I'm not sure people realize, but Black people, whether you live in Africa, whether you live in England, Brazil, Canada, the US, we are the third largest population on this planet, behind Asians or Chinese and Indians. So even though you're in America and you're bombarded by these terminologies like minorities, 14% of the population, declining, black and black crime, all these different labels and titles to make you feel like you are inferior and alone, keep in mind that you are connected. And as such, let us practice group economics and pool our money and our resources together, because that 14 million could be a lot more if you wanted to. And while I'm saying this, I've donated $5 to this. Could I have given 10? Yes, maybe next time I will, but I barely had that. Alright, I barely had that, like Dr. Umar would say. But the point I'm making, let's group our money together. Okay? Let's scale it back a little bit as well too. It doesn't have to be on a worldwide level like this. It could be within your family. Your brothers, your sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins. If you guys could think of a common goal, pool your money together. Because if I have $5,000, there's only so much I could do. But if I have my brother have $5,000, if I have my other brother have $5,000, if I have my sister have another $5,000, now we're cooking. Now we're in the kitchen. Now we're chefing it up. Now we have options. Because believe you me, other groups of people are practicing group economics. That's how people are getting ahead. It's not because they're millionaires. Because a millionaire is just one person. But when you add in a family, right? When you go to some houses, you have the first generation, second generation, and third generation all within the same roof, under the same roof. And they all have some type of income coming in. Alone, they're nothing. Together, they're a force. Okay, so if this is one thing that this highlights, support your own. Practice group economics. Don't worry about what the quote-unquote white man is going to do with that money, or how the fact that they're an advantage because they always help their own and they always support racists and all that. Who cares? Because if you ask me, we could do it for ourselves as well too. We may not be able to give $100 each person, but we could give $1, and that $1 plus my dollar plus your dollar plus her dollar plus his dollar can equal millions when it's all focused on one cause. Now, if you feel that you can't work with your family members, you can't work with your cousins, you don't trust them, reconcile that. Find a way to get past that. Get rid of the animosity, because you are more powerful as a group. That's my message for today. Hope I didn't take too long to get this done. Pardon my presence. If you agree with me, if you dispute what I'm saying, if you don't believe in group economics, let me know. But that's my message for today.